We are so delighted to welcome you to our Lunch and Learn series for 2023-2024. This is our first of 6 or 7 sessions where we begin to have conversations with people around their authentic journey of leadership and innovation. We will have some of our speakers will focus on innovation and kind of where they have taken their innovative journey, and others like today, we will be really talking with 2 young leaders about their journey and their goals. And the goal of our Lunch and Lead series is to really give you a kind of a snapshot into the journey that other people take. Often we feel, we talk about imposter syndrome, like I'm not as talented as some of these other people. But when you hear people tell you about their journey, you really can take away nuggets, little pieces of wisdom, things that they've learned along the way, or challenges that they've had that are similar to challenges you have. So I'm going to introduce my colleagues. Jason Williams is our behind the scenes guy today. He is the managing director of the Society of Innovators. Mckinstry Richardson is the assistant director at the Leadership Institute here at Purdue Northwest. We have 2 academic directors. I don't know if they're on the line, but Dr. Rachel Clapp-Smith of the Dean of the College of Business, and Dr. Jane Thomas is the assistant academic director. So we work with them on our programs and on curriculum design for leadership and innovation. With that, I'm going to pass on. I will mention that we appreciate if you keep your sound off. So if you could please mute yourself. We do use the chat quite a bit. So if you have comments to make or questions, or you have an idea you want to pursue, type that into the chat. And then as we get closer to the end of the conversation, Makisha, Jason, and I will kind of help manage some of that follow-up comments. So with that, Makisha, take it away.
Thank you so much, Sheila. Again, to piggyback off what Sheila was saying, it's always good to see John, Mr. Davies in the room with us today. And also we have another special guest. The Office of Student Life has joined us. They are doing a watch party for PNW students. So you guys be sure to, we're very happy to have you with us today. Please be sure to add your comments or questions in the chat room. And if we have time towards the end, we can even do a time for live questions. But I want to jump right in because we have 2 amazing young ladies with us today, and I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves first. So quickly, Amber and Faith, we're going to start with Faith. You just start off, just give us your name, your company, what you do, just a really brief intro, and then we'll pass over to Amber, and then we can get started with the questions. So Faith, tell us about yourself. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. Thank you again to PNW for allowing me to be a part of this opportunity. My name is Faith Spencer. I am the president and CEO of IronWorkz, which is a nonprofit organization based out of Gary, Indiana, where we work to teach young minority students and small businesses about entrepreneurship, but most importantly, the entrepreneurial mindset. College is an option, trade school is an option, but no one really talks about entrepreneurship as being an option as well.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And Amber, tell us a little bit about yourself, please. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Amber Mckinstry, and I am the public relations assistant to Chelsea Whittington of WHITT PR. I started out with C WHITT PR probably 3 or 4 years ago. I am the vice president of the Urban League of Northwest Indiana Young Professionals. I am a part of the National Hookup of Black Women, and where I am the chair for the youth, teen, and collegiate. I am also a part of the National Hookup of Black Women IT committee.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So you guys, we are just like blown away. I keep saying that word blown away because really I am truly. I have such, I'm so awestruck, and I have such a tremendous amount of respect for young people who are doing things differently and who are blazing a different path, if you will, towards success and towards leadership, towards entrepreneurship. They're not taking the traditional route, if you will, and they are kind of breaking molds, if you will. I had the pleasure of meeting Amber. I want to just tell you guys why we picked him. Just to kick off our luncheon league. So I had the pleasure of meeting Amber through Chelsea. Like she said, she is her PR assistant for C WHITT PR firm. Chelsea is amazing. We do a lot of work with Chelsea. And so I was able to meet Amber through her. And I took one of their classes. So Amber actually teaches a TikTok class. So I'm aging myself. I wanted to know how to use TikTok, how to create the videos, all that good stuff. And so I took the class, and Amber was just amazing. Just in talking with her, getting to know a little bit of her story, I was very impressed with how well she carried herself and with her journey. And I put a little nugget in her ear that day and let her know, whether you know it or not, you actually are a leader. You actually are a boss. And I see great things for you. And then I had the pleasure of meeting Faith through introduction from my colleague, Jason, when we were putting together the panels for the leaders, for the women's summit, the women's NWI Women's Leadership and Innovation Summit for 2023. That's long. But we were putting together the panel for that. Jason actually came up with the idea to invite Faith. And I had never heard of her before. Looked her up, and I was very impressed with her resume. And then in meeting her, oh my God, these young ladies have such an amazing story. So I thought it was a good idea to kind of continue the conversation that we started at the Women's Summit. Today with one of the youngest panel members, and then to bring Amber in as well, because I think her story is equally as phenomenal, right? So I'm just going to jump right in. So today's topic is authentic leadership, because I think that what we're seeing the younger generation do today, this epitomizes authentic leadership. But I wanted to talk today really quickly, ladies. How do you define authentic leadership? Faith, we're going to start with you.
Yeah, sure. So for me, authentic leadership is not necessarily using one specific style, right? I know there's a topic that there's like normally about 6 leadership styles that you can utilize, but being able to have like a hybrid mix, because depending on the group of people that you're working with, to just, I mean, your day-to-day life, scenarios change. Right. And for me, I'm in a environment that's constantly changing. So you have to be quickly adaptable to what's happening. And so being able to be adaptable and recognize the people that you're working with is a way to define like that authentic leadership style, while, being able to showcase a piece of yourself while doing it. So just a little bit of what my thoughts are there.
Yeah. And so do you consider yourself to be an authentic leader?
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. I think just from the perspectives of, from managing projects in college to, managing a nonprofit organization now, and what I'm currently doing in my full-time job, I definitely consider myself to be an authentic leader, because I always try to convey, my personality no matter what I'm doing.
Amber, what about you? How do you define authentic leadership?
I'm actually going to piggyback off of exactly what Faith said and put in because just as she said, circumstances change. And in this society, we do have to adapt. So, if you have that leader who is willing to adapt with you and is not going to complain or, antagonize you because of the way that you learn. Everyone doesn't learn the same, especially in what I do. I may catch on something quicker than this person, but we've been on the job at the same exact time. But having that leader to know it's real, who's real, who's standing, who understand that mistakes happen, and giving that person grace. That's what makes an authentic leader to me.
Mm-hmm. And you consider yourself to be an authentic leader?
I do, only because my favorite word is grace. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone messes up. But that doesn't make them a bad person. That doesn't define them or their path on where they're going. So yeah, I do believe I am definitely an authentic.
That's a perfect segue because I want you to tell the people, how did your career journey begin, Amber?
All righty. So in 2012, me and my cousin David King, that's when all the killings were happening. The shootings were happening in the city of Gary. And we were involved with student council. We were involved in city student council, state student council. And we were just tired. So one day we called each other and we was like, hey, let's do a youth march for change for the city of Gary. At that time, Karen Freeman Wilson was the mayor, and Miss Chelsea was the communications director at that time. So we all had a meeting. We discussed what we wanted to do, how we wanted to do it. We had our plan in order and everything. From there, Mayor Karen gave us Miss Chelsea, basically. It was like, here, you can have her. And she did exactly what she does now. She got the media out there. She got paper. I was intrigued after that. I don't know why, but I was really, really intrigued. And from there, I talked to my cousin. I said, hey, do you think that Miss Chelsea would let me intern in her department for our spring break since you're going out of town? He said, go ahead and ask. So that exact night, I inboxed her on Facebook. And I asked her, could I come shadow her to see what her job entailed? And she said yes. And from there, I've been basically in public relations ever since. I went off to Vincennes to get my public relations degree. In between my breaks, I would still work at City Hall. From there, I got a position at the Youth Services Bureau to do their communications. And the rest is history. It's what I'm doing now. I feel like it's my God-given talent, like it's a passion.
I agree. Would you say that you took traditional roles to get to where you are today?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
My family, believe it or not, thought I'm not I tried, don't get me wrong, I tried the 9 to 5, clocking in the hours, but that wasn't me. Not saying that I can't follow higher up authority, but that just wasn't me. I knew that it was more to me than just sitting here typing up documents, sending up. No one had to tell me that. I knew that for myself. So I went the other route. As I told my best friend the other day, I went against the grain. And I feel like me going against the grain was probably the best thing I had ever done.
You took a leap of faith. That actually will lead us to faith. Because Faith was talking earlier about entrepreneurship. So Faith, that's to me a perfect segue. Would you please tell us about how your career journey began?
Yeah, for sure. So I think, not to get too granular here, but it really started in high school for me. I was always in leadership positions for different organizations. I was a co-president of DECA. I was, a student board representative for School City of Hobart. And so there was always opportunities that people would recommend to me, saying, hey, I think you should participate in this organization, or I think you should participate in this organization, but in a specific leadership role. And so I just think personally, like based on all of the different things that I've done over the course of the last, 9 years, has always been observing, the people around me and how can I, get things accomplished and utilize the skills around me. I don't have to be the smartest person in the room. I don't look to be the smartest person in the room. I look to leverage the people around me to help accomplish whatever it is that we're trying to accomplish. And so being in those different positions, getting the opportunities to, pitch an idea to the high school or the school superintendent saying, hey, I really think, if we did this, the students would really love it. And it's just like, okay, well, I'll take the trainer's wheels off, go for it. Lay out the plan. What is it going to look like? How many people do you think you need? Send out email communication. So I was just automatically, just kind of like taking to this whole leadership idea, this concept. And then senior year, I managed to start my first business, an LLC, in which we created a product for cyclists, an early warning system, and I competed in pitch competitions. I'm pretty sure you guys are all very familiar with Innovate Within. That was my first time competing in a pitch competition and, doing those time presentations and getting the content out of what it is that we've developed, why you should give us money, essentially, and, just really putting ourselves out there, interacting with lawyers, and it really opened up my world to networking. And so from that perspective, once again, we were the youngest people in the room because you don't really get that opportunity to go, hey, come check out this networking event, or hey, come to this place and meet this person, because it's not something we're necessarily taught. So being able to be put in that specific position to have that opportunity was just super unique for me. And so it kind of helped me, just like really steer into that path of, this is something that I want to do. Like I like being able to start up my own thing. I like being able to solve problems that I'm interested in. So how can I continue to leverage that and do that? And so obviously, I went to school to study tech, cybersecurity, network engineering. And so during that time, I was also a president of organizations and doing various different things, leadership positions. And that just consistently networking opportunities, meeting new people, meeting this millionaire, meeting that millionaire. And let me tell you, one, millionaires are not sure I got to have on a Gucci jacket and shoes. That's not what they do. They're very much, I got my shoes from Walmart. I have on a t-shirt. How's your day going? And so they're really just super down to earth people, and you can learn so much from them. And so just being able to interact with them and just understand, this is the necessary steps you need to take if you're really going to learn how to work and, not necessarily manage people, but work with people. Right. And so that's kind of like how I got to where I am today with the nonprofit, just because of the fact, I don't want to be the only person up here having these experiences and these opportunities. I want other people that look like me, as well as everyone else, but specifically that look like me, because I don't see that many people that look like me in the positions and in the areas that I've been in, over the past 4 years. So that's kind of like how I ended up where I am today.
And I don't need to ask you, you've already told us that you did not take the traditional route. And I'm super here for it. I'm really excited for your journey. I can't wait to see where both you and Amber end up in the future. I definitely think we will be hearing both of your names for a very long time to come. But tell us, was it difficult to find your voice and your particular leadership style? Because again, both of you, and either one of you can jump in here, right? Because you're going against the grain, because you're not doing things the traditional way. Tell me about some of the difficulties that you encountered in trying to find your voice and in doing things in the non-traditional way.
So since I'm unmuted, I'll go first. I think, well, one, apparently it stuck out more to other people than it did to me. In terms of, you are going to be a leader. And I'm just going out through my day-to-day life being Faith, and apparently being Faith, shined on the fact that I had these specific set of skills, I guess, if you could say. And so really it was more so of, once again, people constantly saying like, hey, you have this ability, you are really good at, talking to people and getting people to listen, or, you're just a really personable person. Those are those soft skills needed to become a great leader. And so, taking that, acknowledging that wasn't the hard part. I think the hard part really for me, and still currently is really my age. People get really surprised to see, like, if they haven't met me in person yet, we're talking over the phone or through email, they would think that I'm, I guess, your average mid-30s to 40-year-old person. And then when they meet me in person, it's like, I did not expect you to be 22. And so it's just like, well, why does age matter? I mean, yes, my experiences are very much different, but I also, being the fact that I am so young, I have a different mindset, right? And I think a lot of people fail to recognize that. And so when I'm trying to get someone to agree, or not necessarily agree, but get in tune with what it is that I'm trying to execute or what I'm trying to do, I have to bring all of these different facts, these different things that I've done beforehand, to showcase, hey, I can do this. I just need you to step back just a little bit and let me handle what I said I can do. Right. And so I think that's my biggest challenge right now. It's not necessarily that, struggling to become a leader, it's more so getting people to accept that I have that capability to be a leader.
Thank you for that. Amber, what about you?
It was definitely, I guess, difficult for me to find my voice, only because, and this is a surprise to everyone, I was shy. I've always behind the scenes, but just like Faith said, everyone around me saw something in me that I did not see, or it had not blossomed as it has blossomed now. For instance, my grandmother, she would always tell me, "You're different. Your style is different. The way that you talk is different. All of that." But I didn't see it. I always thought that, and as people say, that imposter syndrome, I always had that. Well, no, I don't think that's for me, or I'm not ready for it, when in reality I had always been ready for it, because the people, like I said, around me has saw it in me. Now it's kind of, again, like Faith said, it's kind of hard to get people to understand, because of my age, that I am a leader, and sometimes I may not always be right, but I do know what I am talking about, and how to get things done. That I'm still learning that everyone is not as understanding, and that's probably my difficult point right now, is trying to get those, some may be younger than me, but really those older than me, to understand that it's okay for me to be in these rooms and, still have my place, and for you to understand.
So what I'm hearing from both of you is strength and a courage that I will admit that at your age I did not have. So I want you, the both of you, to actually be the star of the show today. But I'm going to take a few seconds just to tell a little piece of my background. So my undergraduate degree is in journalism, but unlike the two of you, I did not have the gumption to speak up and look for internships or that kind of thing. So when I came home, when I graduated, I was not able to find a job in my field. But there were people around me who tried to encourage me to step out and do freelance journalism. I'm dating myself. The internet then was not what the internet is today, but they were telling me there's this thing, like you can actually publish your articles yourself online. And I didn't know enough about what online was at the time. And so it just made me nervous. And then there were another group of people who were basically telling me, girl, you have to get a 9-to-5. Like you have to make sure that you can pay your bills. And so I was actually afraid to step out of that traditional box, right? Which is why I'm super excited to see the two of you and the journey that you guys have taken, because I do believe I will still end up where I am today, because I believe that your path, your destination is still the same. The path you take is different. And it's the path you take is different depending on the choices that you make. So it'll be interesting to see what my path would have looked like had I chosen or made the decision to be a freelance, right? Had I not decided just to, find odd jobs until I fumbled my way into teaching. So with that being said, I want you guys to talk a little bit about that courage and that strength that it takes, right? Tell us about your ability to persevere and overcome those types of obstacles, the naysayers. Like, tell us about a specific like occurrence or whatever in your life or along your career journey that caused you to like really like buckle down, refocus, and like recommit to, no, I'm not doing it the traditional way. I'm doing it my way. Am I making sense? That was a lot I threw at you. Let's go with Faith, and then we'll jump back over to Amber.
Okay. So full transparency, I would say currently I'm actually in this situation right now, and that's specifically with IronWorkz, being the fact that one, based out of Gary, Indiana, the city is definitely more a predominantly older community. So when we step into spaces, we are very much noticeable. We stick out, right? And so the first questions that come to mind are, who are you? What are you doing here? And why do you think you have that ability? And so this entire summer, the entire course of this summer has been us breaking down those barriers of saying, just because I'm young doesn't mean I can't do this, right? So kicking off the different events that we put on, everyone always came in surprised. Like, wow, this is amazing. I didn't think you had this capability. I didn't think you had this ability. You know this many people. And it's just like, I need you guys to recognize, don't look at me, look at the output, look at what it is that we're doing. If you stop focusing on me and focus on what the actual goal is here, maybe we can get some more things accomplished. So it's that constant fight for me to want to make not just myself, but the organization's presence known, but in the way that yes, it's youthful, but also they know how to get things done. So that would be my answer to that question.
Okay. Amber, talk to us about your ability to be strong, be courageous, and to persevere and overcome any obstacles that come your way.
I'll full transparency. Not many people know, but Miss Makisha knows because that was one of the conversations we had after my TikTok class, which landed me actually speaking today. I want to say 3 years ago. And I mean, I guess it still hasn't really, reality still really hasn't kicked in for me because I am still able to do things the way that I was able to do things before 3 years ago happened. I don't have full mobility to my left side, meaning I can't make a fist. I can't use my left hand. I can't raise my arm. I have days where, I have pain 24/7. 3 years ago, I was, perfectly fine. Thank God we know now what's wrong, not saying that I'm still not in pain 24/7, but I feel like God did that to make me slow down and to actually see what I needed to do. In that time frame, I was able to refocus and get back in school because at first I wasn't. And that was something I kept saying, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. But I hadn't done it yet because I'm still trying to do everything else. And then I said I wanted to get more serious about PR. And mind you, I didn't tell anyone this. This was just the talk between me and God. And he sat me down. He sat me down. He broke me down, and he made me rethink about everything. Not saying, like I said, not saying that when I go out here and everyone sees me running around and taking pictures and recording and doing this and that, not saying that I'm not in pain, but when you have a passion, that pain is all the way in the back of your head. You're not thinking about it. When I get home, I'll worry about it. And then still, it's that adrenaline. that pushes me, that makes me go. Because one thing I know, and two things for certain, if it was brought to me, then I'll be able to go through it with no problems or no questions asked. Not saying it's not bumpy roads, not saying that I don't have bad days, but it has made me now into the person that I am now. I'm more grateful for the opportunities that I had. Not saying that I took them for granted, but who says that when I had that seizure in at work, I would have made it, to even be able to talk about what is going on, how it has made me become a leader because of the pain. It pushes me to be a better person, not only for my colleagues, my peers, but for my siblings. Yeah.
Can I add to that, actually?
Please, go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, just to further add to what Amber is saying, the things that we are doing with IronWorkz and, just venturing off into this entrepreneurial space and getting it introduced into the community is definitely something that I could say, at least with my own eyes, the city of Gary has never seen. So we are definitely taking very large strides at the moment in terms of, breaking down these walls and getting people open to different opportunities, a new mindset shift, if you will. And so the team is constantly, because it's a struggle, it's an everyday struggle. But, with the help of my team, we are constantly working on ways to mitigate, those different challenges and how can we work through a challenge, or what's a better way to maybe, get them to see what it is that we're trying to accomplish here. And so really, if my day isn't as strong as I want it to be, I know that I have that team to lean back on, because they always have, new ways to spin ideas and new ways to get what it is that we're trying to put out there. So, yeah.
That is amazing. The two of you, again.
And just to piggyback
Go ahead.
off
Yep.
of just to piggyback off of what Faith said as far as her team. My team, the C WHITT team, even the young professionals. That is, I know for sure, someone I can lean on. There's been days where I've had to call in to the C WHITT team or call into a C WHITT team member and say, hey, I can't because I just, I'm having this problem, and it's no problem. Send me the address and I got it. So I guess having that support system, that strong support system, is what carries me through too.
So I'm hearing a lot here. I'm hearing, for me, this is what authentic leadership looks like. This is what it means to be authentic. This is what it means to come as your full self, right? The fact that I was so impressed by Amber, because if she had never told me about her, we're going to use air quotes, it's really not an issue, her issue, I would have never known, because she pushes through. Her work ethic is amazing. She's extremely professional. And again, I'm with Faith. Had I not known, how old she was, looking at her resume and talking to Jason about this person who he wants to bring to the panel, I'm not thinking this is a 22-year-old. I'm floored. And again, I'm very impressed with both of your stories. And I love the fact that you are admitting that you do need help, that you have a strong team. It's not just, okay, I'm just pushing through. That's leadership as well, is knowing the fact that you have a team, the fact that you can lean on your team. And Amber, I'm sorry, Faith said something at the very beginning. I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I realize that I'm not the smartest person in the room, and I do have teammates that I could fall back on. We have about maybe 7 minutes left. So I'm going to let both of our guests share out to the audience anything that you want to leave with the generations coming behind you. Anything that you want to leave with the audience today, just in terms of encouragement and motivation. Faith.
Mckinstry, I also wanted to mention that there's a few questions in the chat. So if you'd like, we can have them answer those as a kind of a concluding activity.
Yes, we can. So we'll have them to leave their mark, and then the last 5 minutes. So we take 2 minutes for them to leave their mark, and then we take the last 5 minutes to answer questions. So, Faith.
Yeah, so my top go-tos are always get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You get yourself into a lot of situations, and sometimes you may feel like you're backed into a corner, and that's when you realize you kind of like just have to step away from it all for a second and see, okay, where am I trying to go? You know, and I think that goes back to whatever it is that you're focused on, your core values. In this situation, right, we refer back to the organization's mission statement. What is it that we're focused on, right? Does it align? Because if it doesn't align, it's an automatic no. And then also, you know, if you're not failing, then you're not trying hard enough. You have to fail in order to succeed. So you got to embrace that. You know, they talk a lot about, like, in football and basketball, they teach you how to fall because there's no way that you're just not gonna fall, right? So being that is the case, lean into those falls, embrace those falls, so that when you fall, it's not a major injury. It's more of like a minor hurt, right? And I think those are my two biggest takeaways, what I would want people to leave with.
Okay, thank you for that, Amber. What's your takeaway from the audience?
Super easy. And this is what I live by. Go the extra mile, because it's never crowded there. There's so many times when we take those small steps, not thinking. It's so many times that we take those small steps thinking everyone else in the room are taking those big steps, when they're really not. You're still taking those small steps, but that moment that you take that big leap, that big step, that big faith, you're gonna be exactly where you need to be when you need to be. And then give yourself grace. No one is perfect. Give yourself grace, and go the extra mile.
I love both of those. Thank you so much, ladies, for sharing. We have 5 minutes left. I know that we have some questions in the chat room. Sheila, do you have any of the questions from the room? Yep.
Yeah, so there's some great questions. Thanks everyone for putting forward your questions. The one about wallflowers is really speaking to me. So, you know, when Amber, you mentioned the imposter syndrome, and Faith, you talked about how people are surprised when they see you. There's people on our call today who maybe haven't found their voice yet and are trying to figure out, how do you do that? So this is a good question. What would you say for the wallflowers, quote unquote, in the room, those that have never been encouraged to be vocal? What steps should one take, in your opinion, as a person trying to find the value in their voice? Amber, you want to jump in?
I would say, I would say, to find your voice, you're going to have to be uncomfortable. You have to be okay with being uncomfortable. That's the first step. And then that moment that you become uncomfortable is the moment when you find out who you truly are. You'll take those risks because you want to see the outcome. It's not going to be easy. You may fall, but as Faith said, embrace those falls and just get up and start all over again. Because eventually, if you don't see it, someone is going to bring it out of you.
Faith, do you have any thoughts about that? Thank you, Amber. Lovely.
Yeah, I would think, well, one, as Makisha said, I am very much against the grain. So I like to just throw myself out there and then see what surfaces. But really, you know, just start small. So if you're at work and, you know, you're in a smaller group project and normally you never are the type of person to talk or provide feedback or, you know, anything like that, take that initiative and jump out there and ask whatever question that's been killing you that entire 30 minutes of that meeting. Or even, you know, speak with whoever it is that you're working with and say, hey, like, let me start off the meeting today. Like, you can just start super small, start super basic so that it doesn't necessarily overwhelm you. Just like you have to embrace those falls, you have to slowly slide into things as well that you really want to participate and be a part of. So I think that would be my biggest thought to that question. And then also just know that at the end of the day, everyone makes mistakes. So you're not going to always get it right. And so whenever you are leaning into those opportunities, recognize that it might not go as planned as you thought it would. And that's okay. I do it
Right.
all the time. You know, I believe it or not, I actually put my foot in my mouth a lot, but I do it purposely because it's like, I want to know what is my reaction going to be like? You know, I need to know how I'm going to, okay, this happened. So now next time I know maybe not do it this way. So sometimes I do stuff purposely just to see what my reaction is and other people's reactions. It's just a big learning process, honestly. So, you know, take small pieces here and there and, you know, whatever sticks, sticks. And then whatever doesn't, go back to the drawing board and try it again.
I love that you're okay with taking calculated risks. I think that's kind of like what I'm distilling from the things that you're saying is don't be afraid. And you know, leaders have to be brave, no doubt. Arturo asked a really good question about team building, and both of you have mentioned working with teams. Your age may have held you back in some ways, but your age can also be an advantage in others. Any tips on how to build your team?
So for me currently, the IronWorkz team is in, well, probably just because I'm biased, but the majority of the team is comprised of either Purdue alum or current Purdue students. And so, you know, I know how they work because I worked the same way when I was there. And so we are very much just fast paced. You know, if I'm not doing it, then the other person will take it over. But I also specifically look for what is it that I need in this moment, right? What is it that I need in this phase? And so when I'm looking for people to potentially be on a team, and which also it kind of just happens to happen through conversation when you are out networking, you're talking to people, and it's like, oh yeah, you know, I'm a CPA, and it's like, you're a CPA. Huh, tell me more, you know, because that's what I'm looking for and that's what I need, especially if I meet that person and their personality is great. And it's like, I think I could work great with you. That's a lot of how, you know, we choose the people that we decide to roll on to whatever it is that we're working on, whether it's IronWorkz in general or a specific project.
Nice. I love that. Amber, any thoughts about building teams?
Right. I've been on teams with older people, and then I've been on it with a younger. Me personally, I feel like the best team is what I lack, you can teach me, and what you lack, I can teach you. And that way, just in case you're not able to do what needs to be done, I'll still be able to get the project done and pull through with it. And then it compromised of all ages. Like, don't just, but disclosure, IronWorkz is totally different. They work, like she said, they work. But again, some things may not work. So you may need to mix up the ages, have some in their 20s, have some in their 30s. And then, you know, 40s and 50s. But I definitely feel like a team should be someone who, if I lack, you teach me, you lack, I teach you, and then we get it done at the end of the day.
Thank you. Last question, I'm going to call John Davies, who is a frequent visitor to our Lunch and Leads. I think he's been with us for the 3-4 years that we've been doing this. So he asked a question about what is your vision and how does it influence your life's work? And while both of you kind of talked about your vision, how does your vision influence your life's work today? Amber?
Well, my vision is really to bring along someone, how, and I know I'm bringing it up a lot, but how Miss Chelsea pulled me along, that my vision is to get all the education I need, do all of the networking that I need, that one day, how someone spoke about me in these rooms, I can speak about that next person in these rooms, and they can get the same experience that I was able to get. That is my ultimate vision.
Oh, I love that.
Sounds
Faith, how
like
about
sponsor.
you?
Yeah, so my vision ultimately is giving everyone, I don't care if you say you don't agree with this, it's okay because subconsciously I know you do. Everyone wants that opportunity to shine, right? And so, really, my life's work is giving everyone that's in my space, in my environment, that opportunity to really get that moment to say, hey, I did that, and be able to own it. And in order to do that, that's why I focus so much on working with like minority students, because we lack that access. We don't get those opportunities that normally other people would. And so once again, being able to be in those rooms, being in those spaces, it's just like, if only my community could understand that the world is literally your oyster, right? And so it's like, how can I bring that to them? Because I just want them to get a taste. Even more, honestly, I want them to get more than just a taste. I want them to get the opportunities I've had plus more. I just think for me, I thrive on seeing other people be happy. That's my ultimate thing, is I love to see other people happy. I will put myself second in order to see other people happy. And so being able to, work with students and get them to see different things, and go to different places, go to different states, being that they've been just in that one community, getting them out and just exploring, like that's what I'm all about.
Thank you so much. Nikisha, I'm going to pass to you.
Thank you so much. We have one question that I'm looking at. I think it's amazing. And I think that it will be a perfect ending for us. I'm going to start with Amber. Just briefly, what tools do you use to become self-aware? I think that goes hand in hand with what we were just talking about. So this is a question from the chat room. What tools do you use to become self-aware?
My attitude. I know when I'm off. I can feel it. And from there, I know either I'm going to have a good day based on that, or I'm going to have a bad day. And sometimes it will take someone to say, hey, well, because unknowingly I have a certain look on I'm perfect, I'm okay, but I have a certain look on my face. So someone may, hey, tap me on the shoulder and say, hey, well, you need to fix this, or you said this wrong, so maybe you should apologize, unknowingly I'll do that, and I'll apologize genuinely and sincerely, because again, that's not what I try to give off, or what I want to give off.
Awesome. You definitely have to be in tune with yourself. Faith?
Yeah, and just to piggyback off of that, I'm currently in that phase of, listening more to like my intuition, and just understanding like when something is not right, that's probably because it's actually not right, instead of ignoring it and saying, I really want to do this. But also, if I'm in a space with people that I trust, and, we've come from a meeting or whatever the case may be, and just something feels off, I'll ask them like, hey, what did you get from XYZ? And to see like, okay, well, I didn't get that. Was it me? Did I say something? Like, do you think I did something wrong? Because oftentimes I could have probably came off too harsh, or people not recognize, what my actual character is, or just how I do things. And so being that is the case, I'm usually always kind of like thinking to myself, like, okay, how do I go through this process without necessarily offending anyone? But at the same time, people are going to get offended. That's just life. So, being able to find that middle ground of, what's actually offensive versus this is just work. This is how it's going to work. So finding that balance is kind of like a big thing for me. And, really just, once again, just I'm always constantly self-reflecting on different interactions I've had with people. Someone could be talking to me and I could actually be analyzing the conversation as we're talking. Cause it's like, I don't know if I'm actually doing this right, So, just constantly being aware is really my biggest thing, and getting feedback from others.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. You all, this has been an amazing conversation, the way that I thought it would be. We really hope, on behalf of the Society of Innovators and the Leadership Institute at PNW, we hope that you were able to gain some really good nuggets from these two ladies, some wisdom. Thank you guys so much for sharing. We will be back next month for our Lunch and Lead, same time, same place. Thank you guys for coming.